Slow motion gives the visual content a whole new perspective. Controlling motion and manipulating it is an effective way of inferring an emotion. Everybody knows what coffee looks like, but a coffee drop shown in slow motion feels more deliberate, impactful and enticing. Slow motion in food is about adding emotional intent to your visuals. So when it comes to food, what makes slow motion so great? Well, let's start with the slow part. Normal video is captured at 25 frames a second. That's 25 frames captured and played back every single second. When we slow things down, we're capturing more frames in that single second. So, when we capture 50 frames per second, it takes twice as long to play the same action. Because standard playback is still 25 frames per second, and that's the basic principle. 100 frames per second is 4 times slower than normal, 200 frames is 8 times slower, and so on. When we get to 1000 frames a second, and speeds well beyond ordinary, we get to experience even more of the subject's journey. When we get to the motion part, this is where we need to get a bit more technical. As we increase the number of frames we're capturing, we're decreasing the time light has to enter the camera, so we need to add more light to the scene to achieve the same source of look. In fact, doubling the frame rate of any shot means effectively doubling the number of lights pointing at the subject. Falling through frame. Whether an abstract component shot, a build shot, or simply a pour or a spill, the falling shot is a great way of drawing attention to lots of pieces. For this kind of shot, we're literally battling Newton here. The best frame rates are dependent on the mass and the volume of the subject against the constant of gravity. So the heavier the object, the higher the frame rate needed. Collision shots are dynamic, creating a visual fusion of flavours and ingredients. Whether we're looking at collision shots in live action or CGI, the collision bit is typically a trial and error kind of shot. But what we do get is multiple impacts, velocities and secondary reactions in every single action. The scene is always rapid in real time, so grabbing the detail at 1000 frames and up is pretty essential in this kind of shot. The rising up shot. At the apex, the subject is literally floating weightless in frame. When planning the rising and fall shot, it's a great alternative to typical falling or collision shots. This ramping of speed and weightlessness at the apex are far more achievable at lower frame rates with gravity's support. The surface impact shot. As the name implies, this is a collision shot with any rigid body. Where this shot stands out is in the detail in the bounce. The interaction between objects, surfaces and food showing its succulence, juiciness and viscosity. These are the moments that create life and personality in food, and capturing these at a higher frame rate allow that moment to last longer. The liquid pour shot. Liquids move and cascade in weird and wonderful ways, which is really striking in slow motion. Whether you're shooting sauce on a burger or pouring whiskey on the rocks, it's the energy of the impact that gives the subject life. You can shoot liquids in a range of frame rates depending on the sort of feeling you want to create. Capturing great slow motion is more than just turning up the frame rate on the camera or capturing some cool visual effect. It's a way of conveying and imparting personality, emotion and narrative into your visuals. For more information, you can visit our website here or speak to one of the team about your next slow motion project.